Chinese economic growth rates averaging 10% a year for almost a decade fueled a commodities supercycle which lifted Africa's own growth to unprecedented rates.
Because China is such an important player on world markets, especially in respect of the demand for commodities, the fact that it is slowing down and the demand for commodities is falling has resulted in commodity prices themselves declining sharply. And this has resulted in the currencies of countries that are heavily dependent upon exporting commodities to suffer.
In Kenya, a cash flow crisis being faced by the government saw the shilling lose 14% against the dollar and interest rates climb by 300 basis points in October. At the same time, two mid-tier commercial banks were placed on the receivership by the Central Bank of Kenya. This included Imperial Bank Kenya Limited, which left customers in anxiety about the fate of their deposits should the company go into liquidation. Analysts said it was a temporary scenario and was not indicative of system economic faults in the country.
It's a temporary thing which should not be viewed as a picture of the economic performance of the country. Similarly, for the banking sector, what happened to Imperial Bank and Dubai Bank previously should not be seen. It is not a systemic problem.
The World Bank's Africa Pulse report announced in October that economic growth in sub-Saharan Africa was set to slow to 3.7% this year from 4.6% in 2014, its weakest pace since 2009, mainly due to the drop in commodity prices. Factors hampering growth vary among countries. In the region's commodity exporters, especially oil producers such as Angola, Equatorial Guinea and Nigeria, as well as producers of mineral and metals such as Botswana and Mauritania, the drop in prices is negatively affecting growth. In Ghana, South Africa and Zambia, domestic factors such as electricity supply constraints are further stemming growth. In Burundi and South Sudan, threats from political instability and social tension are taking an economic and social toll.
The Pulse finds that with weaker global market conditions underpinned by sharply lower commodity prices, as well as a slowdown in growth in China and tightening global financial conditions, all these factors are weighing down on sub-Saharan Africa's growth.
The report said Ivory Coast, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Mozambique and Tanzania are still expected to grow robustly, posting 7% or more growth per year between this year and 2017. Tanzania, which has a reputation as one of the politically stable countries in the region and one of the fastest growing economies in East Africa, was gearing up for elections at a time when world commodity prices were taking a hit and unemployment was on the rise. Campaigns exposed public frustration with the pace of change in a country endowed with gas and mineral deposits, but lagging behind other regional economies.
We have families, we have children, wives, we have people we are taking to school, and our parents in the countryside depend on us because we live in the city like other successful people. I think we are very key shareholders in this country, especially youths who make up the biggest percentage of the population. People here do not have jobs. We are tired of being told every day that jobs will be created. This has become a propaganda tool that politicians are using so that we can vote for them.
The World Bank recommends that countries focus on more investment in new energy capacity, attention to drought and its effects on hydropower, reform of state-owned distribution companies, and renewed focus on encouraging private investment, which helps rebuild resiliency in the continent's power sector.
The year 2015 ended just about 4 days ago, but let's take a look at how new technologies and innovations continue to change how the world looks like and shaping the patterns of how people live their lives as more applications being developed and devices got even smarter. With a tap of a smartphone button, people can now arrange nearly everything from having dinner to order groceries or renting out someone else's home and finding where to park.
Perfecting that formula for monetary success is Uber. Now in at least 67 countries, the app-based taxi service has a valuation of more than $50 billion on par with General Motors and Ford. Though Uber doesn't even own a single car or employ any full-time drivers. But Uber has also been embroiled in a slew of lawsuits from its contracted drivers challenging the company over its lack of benefits and protection.
There's this constant feeling you're on the verge of losing your access to the platform and driving. It's not a comfortable experience.
While many young startups like Uber thrived, some older tech companies like Yahoo struggled, despite having the celebrated ex-Google executive Marissa Mayer at the helm for more than 3 years. Yahoo's board met in early December for special meetings to discuss selling off assets, putting Mayer's job security into question.
I think the future of Yahoo really is about finding its soul. It's got to do that very quickly in terms of understanding what demographic it wants to be and how it can operate in between where Google and Facebook and other organizations are actually providing a community focus.
Having been trounced in the mobile arena and ridiculed for its confusing Windows 8 operating system, Microsoft unveiled Windows 10, a single operating system that works across its new mobile devices, tablets and laptops, on July 29, 2015, in an attempt to break new ground. In October, Microsoft also unveiled a new laptop series, Surface Book, of which Apple CEO Tim Cook gave his review, calling it diluted, for it tries too hard to do too much, but none well. While Apple itself finally released its Apple Watch, and for the most part, it stuck to its playbook in unveiling modest improvements to its Mac laptops, iPad, and new iPhone 6s, and the larger 6X Plus.
All the smartphone vendors are talking about the fact that it's getting harder and harder for them to differentiate.
The year 2015 was also the one during which virtual reality became a reality. Anyone can now buy a cheap pair of cardboard goggles and pair it with their smartphone to get a unique experience.
The ability to put somebody into somebody else's reality. It's powerful, it can promote empathy, it can promote a better global understanding.
GoPro also announced plans to enter the drone market, soon joining a host of companies from the United States, China and France in pushing the bounds of what will be allowed in the skies as regulators struggle to keep pace. Still, some tech companies reached for the skies and even higher. In November, Amazon's founder, Jeff Bezos' space startup, Blue Origin, became the first company to launch a rocket into space and land it safely on the ground.
It's important, I think, for humans to become spacefaring.
Whether it's automotive, solar power, virtual reality, or even space travel, tech companies have continued to show that there are no limits to their innovations.
So there are no limits to innovations and technologies in 2016, so stick around. The new year just getting started. Just look around. You'll definitely find one. That's about all for today. I am Bosin Namafai. We thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.